Okay, so The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. I just watched this. This is the third installment out of the Conjuring Universe, and honestly, in my opinion, one of the weakest. Let's talk about it. I went into this movie actually being excited and being curious at the same time, because the first two movies, beautiful, loved them. Ed Lorraine's love, the scares, the horror, the families too. But then got into this movie, and let's just say, whatever happened with this movie, I'm sorry. The opening scene of this movie was actually entertaining. It kept me glued because the exorcism, it was very well fleshed out, very well put together, and just the kid actor who played David was honestly amazing in this. And if you look into the real story about this, this actually did follow the real story and kept with it, with the exorcism, and with how the spirit, well, the evil entity goes from David to Arnie. But, you know, they still sprinkled a little Hollywood over-exaggeration on this. The movie does shift from haunted houses, because the first two were actually, haunted houses and people got possessed. But this one leans more into witchcraft and curses, which could have worked, but it honestly did not. What worked in this movie was Ed and Lorraine Warren. Like always, we're not surprised. They worked in this because when you look into it, this movie, its actual main subplot going through each film from the beginning to now, and hopefully in the new one, Ed and Lorraine Warren's love does progress and show how well they are as partners and how well they work together outside of just being partners. They look out for each other, they love each other, they help each other up. Lorraine is really keeping Ed balanced, keeping him on his toes, making sure he remembers things that he usually forgets. And with Ed is there for her. Every time they're together, she does not touch a door. She does not touch anything. He's opening doors. He's making sure she's okay. He's really someone that's really helping her and showing her real true love. And I honestly love that. In each movie I see them in, their love is just so beautiful and lovely. I love that they actually did address the whole Devil Made Me Do It, the case with it, and them actually going to court for it. And Ed and Lorraine did have their hands on this, and they did help get Arnie into the position of them believing that this really did happen to him. So I actually love that they touched upon that. Wish they touched upon it more, but we'll get into that. Arnie played possessed well. The actor crushed it. You really do feel his pain and torment, and I feel bad for him every time I see him on screen because he's constantly going through it. David's possession scene was actually interesting too, but what can you expect? This kid has been booked and busy. He's young Luke in The Haunting of Hill House. He's Wanda's son, Billy, not Tommy, and WandaVision. And now he's in this. You know he's booked. He's doing his thing. He's showing that he has range for his age. I love that. I love seeing him in stuff. And I hope that he continues to grow as an actor to crush it in his adulthood. But we got to start talking about what didn't work with this movie. And like I said, I'm going to spin the block. The courthouse scene could have been fleshed out more. In the case files, it was more prominent. They talked about it more. But this was kind of just an in and out thing. The judge obviously didn't believe them, which was true, but it actually went on longer. It was more dramatic, more intense. So surprisingly, they didn't actually make it more dramatic. They kind of just made it more underdeveloped, which I didn't like. And the ending for this. I spoke about this. You guys can go back in my Conjuring 1 and Conjuring 2 review. For some reason, each Conjuring film, the ending becomes slightly underwhelming. But this one, they turned it up a notch. This was shorter than the Conjuring 2 and the same time as the Conjuring 1. But it felt extremely longer because the ending was so dragged out. It took them so much time to do this most simplest things. The subplot with this was just strange. The witchcraft stuff in this, it had potential, but they didn't utilize that well. Was one of the weakest parts in this. Like, once it got down to the nitty gritty, you see that this was just underwhelming. The plot twist, just everything. I just didn't really like it. I thought it was going to be cooler, but seeing as they changed directors, because James Wan directed this, as well as he's done like Aquaman Insidious and all that. Like, he did the first two Conjurings, amazing, but this was the first movie without him, and it shows. And that whole curse setup, the whole, oh, we need the soul of the innocent, the lover, the man of God, it was weak. It could have been better. So just everything with the witchcraft was just completely underwhelming. I just wanted something cooler. The standouts in this, like I said, was Arnie and David. Arnie was cool. I loved seeing him on screen. Just every time, like I said, I felt bad for him. And with David as well. And as you know, Ed Lorraine Warren, forever stealing every screen they're in front of. They're the heart of this franchise. If you view this movie from a different perspective, it's really less about demons and more about Ed Lorraine Warren's love. And just seeing how much it grows and how much it flourishes does warm my heart, and I actually do love that about these movies. So to compare this movie with the previous movies, this film isn't as atmospheric as the first film, and it's definitely not as chilling or entertaining as the second one. It felt like a weak Conjuring spin-off that didn't really have much to do with how well this universe flowed. And some fun facts, in the original movie, David, the little kid that got possessed, he claimed that he was attacked by a dark entity. Some say it was like a devil-like entity with black eyes, and others say it was a ghostly-looking old man that threatened to take his soul. And honestly, that's actually more terrifying than what we got in the movie, because the whole witchcraft thing, like I said, was weak. And here's some behind-the-scene movie trivia. The Conjuring 3 was originally supposed to adapt the Southern Werewolf case. You know, the Bill Ramsey story from the 80s. If you don't know what it is, you can look into it. It's honestly entertaining. Some say it's pretty weak, but I like that they were leaning more towards the whole werewolf possession type thing. But instead, we got undercooked witchcraft. And, you know, like always, this movie was marketed as the most scariest case yet that the Warrens had to endure. And in actuality, like, how are all of them the scariest and most terrifying that they refuse to talk about until now? Like, be for real. Because, spoiler alert, it's not. So overall, The Conjuring 3 wasn't a bad movie, but it's definitely weaker than its two predecessors. The opening exorcism scene is worth watching alone, in my opinion. Like, each opening of the Conjuring movies is always fire, and this one really was, but then it was just held together by a not so fire movie. But the rest of this movie leaned too much into crime thriller vibes. They made it seem like Lorraine's visions were like superpowers. For a second, I thought I was in like an MCU movie. It had underdeveloped witchcraft and a completely weak curse setup. And even though it was way shorter than The Conjuring 2, it felt like it was longer because it ended up becoming a snooze fest. So for me, The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, the rating I give this is caffeine recommended. So what did you guys think of this? Was The Conjuring 3 a solid addition, or should they just have stopped at 2 and continue with their spin-offs? Are you guys excited to see the next Conjuring movie coming out? Because it comes out this week. How did you guys feel about the franchise as a whole? Specifically just talking about The Conjuring 1 to 3 and when you guys see 4. So we can talk about that. Drop your thoughts below. And if you like my vibe, comment below, like and subscribe. And as always, I'm James Hancock, signing off.